Well, it seems Ryan Reynolds had a little surprise for people. Deadpool 3 is on the way. There was concerns about how Disney would handle Deadpool. Would they allow it to be rated R? Apparently, yes, they will. And then, what would it be about? Oh, boy. Ryan Reynolds and another actor would tease and joke online about them getting together on it, and everyone just thought it was silly and stuff. It turns out it's absolutely true, because Hugh Jackman will reprise his role as Wolverine. The only drawback is that Logan was a great send-off for the character. Of course, that was set at a future time, so I suppose they could weave that in there, that whatever adventure he has with Deadpool will take place before that inevitable outcome. But then again, there's all the multiverse shenanigans. Obviously, will probably be in play here. Hopefully more in line with what No Way Home did, rather than Doctor Strange, which did virtually almost nothing with it, despite it being in the title. But Spider-Man does more. And they'll establish what that all means. I don't know how much further they want Hugh Jackman to be playing the role as they go forward with the MCU, provided it can survive. Because Deadpool 3 will do well. Deadpool 3 has its own fan base, really. I was not a big fan of the Deadpool films, but I'm in the minority on that. Most people really enjoyed it and wanted to see more. And so it will do well. In spite of the overall decline of the MCU. Everything is just terrible. The D+ shows are terrible. The only one that's good because it functions as a show is Ms. Marvel, which nobody knows anything about. And so it's in terrible shape. The movies have all been god-awful with the exception of Spider-Man No Way Home, and that's just an aberration, which I think Deadpool 3 will also be just an aberration. Deadpool will be great. The MCU, meanwhile, will continue to flounder in its current state. There's a theory that Feige has done this deliberately because then he'll suddenly bring back all the favorites, and then all the excitement will quadruple overnight with the return of Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers is a good possibility. He may even show up in the Captain America 4 with Sam Wilson and all that. And just like in the comics, he gets rejuvenated some kind of way and can be Captain America again, something like that. And there you go. Oh, yeah. So that would generate excitement and whatnot for a while, provided you can actually follow it up with some good material, which is dubious a bit at this point. But the idea that it was this overall plan all along, I don't think so. And besides, it was brilliant to seemingly let your franchise decline. Well, someone like Robert Downey Jr. costs a lot of money, and you got to be making that money in order to pay him with it. So, but if they can convince him to come back to do something else, yeah, I doubt it. Because after a while, it's like, look, the clock not getting any younger, the clock's always ticking. So gimmicks galore are all abound to get interest in it, but you still got to follow it up with the good material. So is that what Deadpool's doing with this? Well, kind of, sort of. Deadpool 3 could be fine even if they didn't have Wolverine in it. But it's an extra added bonus, and it's cool, and people like the two of them in those characters. And so it is more of a draw to the movie that would probably already have a pretty big draw. So this, and plus I don't. It's not enough to say it's a gimmick of some sort. Obviously, the announcement is in its own way, but apparently, Wolverine will be a big part of the story, and it may be a way that Deadpool joins the MCU, but the Hugh Jackman Wolverine doesn't. They meet another Wolverine and that sort of thing. Maybe they could even throw the Hulk in. I doubt it, though. I think the Hulk's done. That's too bad. You got She-Hulk. Yeah. So anyway, things like this to spice up the pot and the interest, especially when it's dwindling, it makes a lot of sense. But it doesn't quite apply with Deadpool because, as I said, it could have worked either way. However, it got me to thinking about these sort of things do happen. Right now, you've got Wakanda Forever coming, which is the Black Panther sequel, which has a problem. It's a Black Panther film with no Black Panther. Of course, it's the sad circumstances of the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Since they were a little nervous about just recasting the role and figuring that's in poor taste, then just rest the Black Panther character for a while and come back to it later. The other characters could be weaved in other films, but they could have done that. Instead, they're going full steam ahead with it. And what are the teases? Well, Namor's introduced. And, of course, Namor is second only to the original Human Torch as the oldest of these Marvel superheroes, and was revived in the Fantastic Four. So a lot of ways, this film is sort of a stepping stone leading to the inevitable arrival of the Fantastic Four. And so you got Namor in there. You've got Black Panther, who was introduced in the Fantastic Four, so that makes sense. Played a lot of roles through that. Except, again, there's no Black Panther, except there'll be a CGI Black Panther. But nevertheless, it's kind of like that. So for hardcore comic book people, that's of interest, but I don't know that the overall movie-going audience will understand that. But it generates a certain amount of buzz and excitement about it. But the real guest star that people really want to see now, especially since Namor's been so, rewritten and stuff, and I don't mean the casting. Guy, okay, fine, he could have played the role, but they turned him into a native of the Aztec Empire that apparently fell into the ocean. I don't remember that legend. Or the Mayans. I don't know which one they're going with, but what the hell is that? Oh, they want to do this narrative where the black gang and the Latin gang fight, like it is in the streets of the cities. It's like, oh my God, so they're going to do that, but why? Why do that? Oh, because it says already. No, because the ultimate villain who's manipulating both of them against one another. Who could that be? Well, that's Dr. Doom. Yeah, so I firmly believe it's not been officially announced. Of course, we want to keep it a surprise, I guess, but I think I would be rather surprised, more so, if he's not in it. I think he will be in it, and I think it will be a he. There were some wonders if they would gender swap the character. I don't think so, because this fits the intent to have your hatred pointed towards the real villain, a white man. Yes, that's right. So it will be Dr. Doom. So that's the gimmick and the draw of seeing what the MCU Dr. Doom will be like, and this will be your first introduction to him. And, of course, this leads eventually to Fantastic Four. So that's the interest there. The other film, which is soon upon us, Black Adam over at the DCEU, a similar thing has happened. Now, the guest stars in that is the Justice Society, but again, the movie-going audience, even less so than perhaps Namor, do not know who those people are. I know it excites me. I like seeing Dr. Fate in action, and I'm really surprised they're going to do the Kent Nelson version of it, at least for that movie, with Pierce Brosnan and all of that. But the real rumor about who the extra special guest star could be is, of course, Henry Cavill's Superman, and most notably Henry Cavill in the suit. The idea of just a cameo of another body double with his cape flapping around, and there, oh look, it's Superman's there, and then they cut to the credits. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to work. The reveal that Amanda Waller is in it plays into the rumors of screen tests saying they did see her speaking to a Superman. So perhaps that lends more credence to it. Some people are claiming in the teaser they think there's a scene of Black Adam talking to somebody, and they think he's talking to Superman. And so perhaps so. And they're just going to keep it a secret to save the surprise. But the big problem, if he's not in it and it's just the cape or whatever, if anything, it'll kill the movie. And the movie might even be good. Now, there's some discussion that initial screen tests were not that great, that it was as bad as Batgirl. But they've had time since then, perhaps reshoot it. Zaslav said, we can make these films better. So perhaps they've touched it up, and it's an okay film. But Black Adam in and of himself doesn't have the draw, because most of the moviegoers have never heard of this character. He's briefly mentioned in Shazam, but that's a film that, you know, wasn't a smash hit. And so a lot of people just don't know anything about it. But the idea that Superman could show up in it, at this point, they might as well just go ahead and say, yeah, he's in it. You know, why is he in it? Well, they need to, well, you got to see the movie, you know, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, that idea of the gimmick can save a movie that otherwise would have been in serious trouble. And the projections apparently aren't looking so great. It would certainly kill it, even if the film, they reshot it and it's a good adventure romp and it's good. As soon as word of mouth gets out, yeah, there's no Superman in it. Henry Cavill's not in it. Then it'll die within the week. So it can draw them in, but that, okay, yeah. So if he's in it, then great. People will go and see it. It's still got to be a good movie. So the material's got to be there. It's got to be good. But I can understand the tease and all that, and for the purposes of said gimmick, but it's got to pay off, and hopefully it does for their overall plans going forward. Because if it doesn't and they keep having bombs, then you can forget about 10-year plans and all of that. You're just going to have to scrap it and move on to something else, which would be terrible. I wouldn't want to see that, but that's the deal. So it's just an interesting thing, an observation that I was noticing here. Deadpool will be fine either way, but Deadpool's got it all. Hugh Jackman's back on board, and they're going to do it. As for Black Panther and Black Adam, I don't know. Probably not, you know. But really hoping Superman shows up in Black Adam, and because that could mean so many things going forward. And if that's true, hopefully that means they're working really hard to hurry up and get a Superman. Don't hurry up too much where it's a bad movie, but get a new Superman movie out there. I think that's something they should be concentrating on, top priority. But anyway, it's just an interesting thing, I thought, where it's a tease and a gimmick, and in the case of Black Panther and Black Adam, they really need them to attract people to it. And if they have some fascinating adventure and interesting narratives with them, it'll pay off. I'm dubious, certainly on Black Panther, because there's a lot of reasons, you know. But maybe Black Adam, it'll work out. We'll just have to see.